Some of the most complex relationships on Earth are those among nations. How better for political science students to really understand them than to live them? For 1 week, students in the popular Peacebuilding course take on fictional roles and attempt to bring peace to a fictional region of the world, not unlike some of the most unstable places here on Earth. Professor Rex Brynen is a real-life expert in peace negotiation, and he's using his innovative simulation course to teach the next generation of peace builders.
Our capital right here.
If you're the UN or you're the Brynania...
Poli Sci 450 at McGill, the Peacebuilding course. 100 students are preparing for the week-long Civil War simulation.
Interaction in the simulation takes place via email, it takes place face-to-face, it takes place essentially any way that you wish it to take place.
Professor Rex Brynen is known as Control during the sim. He draws on real-life experience as a peace negotiator to guide students through the tricky terrain of peace building in the fictional land of Brynania. Brynania is one of 6 countries in the cyberspace playground. Students are assigned to various roles related to the operations of these countries.
Most of the roles are real-life roles. So we have major Western governments, the United States, the UK, France. This is a former French colony, so the French are very involved. The aid agencies that are represented are all, but with one exception, real aid agencies. They're the World Food Program, they're UNICEF, they're CARE, they're Médecins Sans Frontières. I need copies of everything. That's because I have to know what is going on, because you don't know when something you're doing intersects with something someone else is doing. And I need to know that so the inevitable collision can occur. The simulation will start when class would normally start at 12:35 on the 23rd, and it will finish when class would normally start at 12:35 on the 30th.
The GOB controls this port in Mogadishu, and we're working on a ceasefire agreement right now.
Brynania is in the grips of a civil war. Several rebel groups are challenging the military regime for power.
Obviously, the whole point of this is to secure the FPA's economic interests as well as have a representative in your government.
And that was agreed upon by both the Brynanian government, is that correct?
The local UN representatives moderate ceasefire talks between the government and the rebel group FPA.
We would like you to reopen that case, even if they lead back to certain arms of the government.
There has to be full disclosure of information, not in terms of your military information necessarily, but just we need to see past our differences.
The government's pursued a very clever divide and rule strategy, and it's going to be a very good lesson to the students on how the local actors will try to manipulate the international actors, the United Nations and so forth. In this case, the government, which has a major insurgency in the north and a major insurgency in the south, was in ceasefire negotiations with the southern ethnic Saharian, as they are in the simulation rebels, for the sole purpose of buying time to allow them to secretly negotiate a political agreement with the northern rebels.
So as it stands right now, the FPA and the government are poised to sign a peace deal. This rallying around Bryn nationality is a threat to us in many ways, both politically and militaristically.
It's stressful, like you think that government troops are approaching on you and you're like, what on earth do we do? And then you, just assessing our options, trying to figure out what to do.
Our goal from this is to make the international community realize how dangerous the Al-Khaldi regime is.
Students are interacting in all kinds of ways. They're emailing information to each other. They're emailing orders to their staff, namely me. They're on Skype. They're on instant messaging software. They're meeting physically all over downtown Montreal at McGill and elsewhere. And then they're reporting on those meetings to me. So, for example, if insurgent groups are ordering attacks, I'll have to sort of mentally work out what the probability is that the attack will succeed. 2 actors may be doing things unknown to each other.
Hi, Claudette. The Brynanian foreign minister is in the arts lounge right now.
We had an incident just a few minutes ago where a journalist happened to be going to a town where a bombing had occurred and asking questions at the same time that one of the internal security actors had ordered that there be roadblocks and suspicious people be arrested. So those 2 events, those 2 separate sets of instructions to me, resulted in the journalist being temporarily arrested and detained by soldiers in question.
Our initial goal is to get the ceasefire. between the PFLZ and the government of Brynania. If we don't get a ceasefire agreement, we may have to go unilaterally through other governments. Does that make sense? Do not tell anyone else about doing that.
It's been difficult to mobilize international attention because the peace process has been pretty rocky at times and pretty tense, and in pressuring one actor to allow the Human Rights Watch in, it could compromise the peace process.
If we get a ceasefire agreement, then the UN moves in, we get peacekeepers on the ground, we'll have eyes on the ground, we'll finally be able to work to create peace. If we don't get the ceasefire agreement, we're going to have to go through other channels, okay?
Well, we got reports of human rights abuses in camps 7 and 9, so we sent teams in there, and we weren't really shown anything that we could use. So we've got the feeling that things were being hidden from us.
When we do the debrief, one of the lessons will be that people can talk about peace, but they may have other interests in mind. And in this case, it was largely using the UN as a cover to distract while they prepared other political moves. Well, this certainly happens in real life. Parties may enter peace talks because they want an agreement, but they may enter peace talks for other reasons, to give the appearance that they want an agreement, to buy for time, to hope that the political situation will change.
I just ran into the MFA of Brynania, and he said that he is looking into some sort of agreement with you guys, signing some kind of official document, because it's pretty clear that they're terrified of your military.
As they should be.
At the end of each day of real time, which is a month in the simulation, I produce a New York Times, which is kind of the summary of everything that has happened that day, and some signals about what is about to happen or news that's just breaking. So last night at 1 a.m. I finally put that together.
We cannot express
Enough gratitude.
enough gratitude.
I think our biggest impact of Oxfam's work is we've been quite innovative and creative with our objectives and our projects, and we're pretty proud of that.
Hello, everyone. Just want to see?
Nope, you're right up here.
How are you? Apologies for being late.
Alright, so I thank everybody for coming to the table today as we sign the peace agreement. I really feel like this is a historic moment for Brynania. As soon as they would agree on one issue, there would be another issue, there would be another issue. And so there was a lot of, not taking very many breaks, trying to exhaust people into finally being like, okay, we'll sign just because we're so tired. All right, thank you, parties. We have officially signed our peace agreement.
By the end of the simulation, my rebel actors, my Brynanian government, my Ruritanian, they've internalized it. I mean, my Brynanian government feels Brynanian. They don't have to role play it. It becomes very, very real.
I think it gives you a lot more respect for people who are actually in the field of peace building and human rights, because it makes you realize how difficult it actually is to be doing the kind of job that they're doing.
I'm saddened to award the Nobel On Peace Prize to the President of Brynania, Maj Al-Kaldi.
They're really impressive students too. In some ways, the secret of the sim is to just release them. Just release all those energies and enthusiasm and incredible creative thoughts, and just give them a giant sandbox in which to play for a week, and they come up with remarkable, remarkable things.